Good day, class. This is the continuation or part 2 of our quest 3. Based from your learnings in the previous course material, how do we evaluate and operate on functions? Previously, we have discussed about evaluation and operations on functions, and now we'll be tackling about the combination of the two. We understood that to evaluate the function f at a number, we simply substitute or replace the independent variable with the value we are given. Sometimes it is a real number like this one, other times it is a variable x. Also, composition and function is the same as evaluation of functions, but it involves two or more function. Rather than a simple variable or real number, gagamit tayo ng function as an input. This means the expression g of x is used as a replacement for every variable x in f. In this case, I have the definition of the composition of function. Given the two functions f and g, the composite function f composed of g are also called composition of f and g. And it is defined by this form. Okay? We can read this, the composition of f and g, or pwede rin naman f composed of g of x. So it can be transformed or equal to f of g of x. So in this case, we start by x as our domain ng g. Okay? So ang domain ng g ay x, tapos ang magiging domain after no ng f naman ay magiging g. Okay? So first, let us evaluate first the domain of g. Kagaya nito. Tapos after nun, pag na-evaluate na natin yan, i-evaluate naman natin yung domain ng f. So magiging bagong domain ng f ay yung mismong g of x. So that is the composition of function. And now, I have here focus question. How do we derive a new and complex function from simple functions? And we addressed this question later on, and we believe after this session, we will be able to answer this focus question. And to understand better, I have here the illustration. Imagine that machine G uses sphere as an input like this one. And this will be used as an input to another machine F, which uses cube as an input and dodecahedron as an output. So as you can see here, nagpasok tayo ng sphere dito sa G, tapos ang kinalabasan niyang output ay cube. Tapos yung cube na yan, pinasok natin sa F machine. Ang naging output niya ay panibagong output ulit, which is dodecahedron as an output. So the second illustration, notice how the output cube is used as input to another machine because it satisfies the condition to be an input of F. This whole process defines a new machine called F composed of G. So this is the new machine after natin ginawa tong procedure or process na to. And in this case, to understand better this topic, let's start with this first example. So we have let f of x equals x squared and g of x equals x minus 3. So we will find out what is the functions f composed of g. So in this case, since ang given natin na f of x ay x squared, ang given natin na g of x equals x minus 3. Hanapin naman natin ang composition ng f and g. Okay? So, here is the solution for this particular example. Huwag niyo muna pansinin itong pangalawa. Ito muna tayo sa taas, no? F composed of g of x is also equivalent to f of g of x as per the definition of composition of function. So, wherein the x in g is the domain. Tapos after nyan, i-evaluate naman natin yung domain ng f, which is yung mismong g of x. In this case, alam naman natin ang g of x ay x minus 3. So since ang x ay hindi naman siya real number, just a variable, so wala tayong gagawin dyan. We will just plug in the x minus 3. Ipa-place natin si g of x sa x minus 3 dito. Kaya siya magkakaroon ng x minus 3. Now, after the placeholder, na-place na natin dyan sa mismong function, ang gagamitin natin yung f. So, what is the f function? Ang f function is x squared. Okay? So, we will place x minus 3 dun sa x squared para magkaroon tayo ng ganito. So, itong x minus 3, since the placeholder here is x minus 3, nilagay natin sa x squared, magiging ganito siya. X minus 3 quantity squared. And then, when we simplify them, so first, we square the first term, which is x squared. Tapos, multiply natin yung x and then negative 3. We have negative 3 times 2. Magkakaroon tayo ng negative 6x. Then, square of the last term, negative 3 squared, that would be 9. Or you could use FOIL method if you want, no? Pwede rin naman yun. So, ang ginawa ko lang dito kung bakit ko nakuha yung final answer natin, x squared from the square of the first term, which is x. Tapos, minultiply ko yung x, then negative 3 times 2, kaya siya naging negative 6x. Then, square ko yung last term, negative 3 squared, that is 9. Okay? So, another example. Ngayon, meron tayong f composed of g. Paano naman kapag baliktad? Okay? So, in this case, baliktad naman siya, g composed of f naman. So, wherein, in this case, ang magiging placeholder natin ay buong f of x naman. Pero dito, ang placeholder ni f is, ang input ng f ay x. Since x is just a variable, wala muna tayong gagawin or ipa-plug in kay f. So, assist lang muna. So, si f of x, ipa-plug in natin or ipa-place natin kay g of x. So, x minus 3 yun, di ba? So, ang mangyayari, since we have g, we place x squared dito sa f of x. Yan, ginamit natin yung mismo expression niya. And then, after that, we will be using this function, g. So, yung papalitan natin dyan, yung x, papalitan natin ng x squared, kaya siya naging x squared minus 3. Okay? So, this is, I believe, the final answer because kung wala naman tayong kailangan pang i-simplify dyan, this concludes our final answer. X squared minus 3. So, we have this same example, f and g, and we are tasked to find the function f composed of g composed of f of 5. And in this case, we will evaluate 5 at f. So, how can we do this? First, we form this g composed of f of 5 equals g of f of 5, wherein 5 is an input of f. We'll place 5 dito sa f na x squared. Then after that, we will place the result to the g, the x minus 3. Let's try. Evaluate muna natin si f of 5 at this case. So when we evaluate f of 5, we will place muna si x squared. Then si x, papalitan natin ng 5, kaya siya naging 5 squared. Galing yan dito. After that, pag nakuha na natin yan, we can simplify kasi yung 5 squared. So 5 squared can be written as 25. And then as you can see, we can easily plug in 25 to the g. So we will substitute in g yung 25. So it will become 25 minus 3 because x minus 3 is our g. So 25 minus 3, the result would be 22. In this example, we directly evaluated the first function g to get its value and use this as input for the second function f. So, actually, merong method pa na pwedeng gamitin dyan. Pero, this is, I believe, the method na pinakita ko muna sa inyo. So, we substitute 5 muna sa f. Then, after nun, yung result, plug in natin sa ating g. And that's it. Nakuha na natin yung pinaka-final answer natin. Another example would be, given f of x equals 1 over x minus 2 and g of x equals 5 over x. So how can we do this? we are tasked to find the function of f composed of g of x. So how can we do this? Meron tayong solution na this one. So it can be written as f of g of x. Parang di tayo malito. No? We all know that the g of x in here, in this particular example, is 5 over x. And f is 1 over x minus 2. So in here, we will place 5 over x sa g of x, like this one. And after nyan, since ito naman yung input ngayon or domain ng f, pa-place na natin si 5 over x dun sa original function niya, which is yung 1 over x minus 2. It will become 1 over 5 over x minus 2. We place 5 over x dun sa x. Then we simplify the denominator. Since wala naman tayong pwede pang gawin dyan sa numerator, denominator na lang. 5 over x minus 2 can be written as 5 minus 2x. Okay? So, the final answer would be 1 over 5 minus 2x in this case. So, it is important na simplified ang ating final answer to get the final result. When working with functions that model real-world situation, we name the variables using letters that suggest the quantity being modeled. In this case, I'm going to show you the application of composite functions. So, these are some of the application of this great topic, composite function. Okay, so I'm going to show you the problem. First, we focus on one problem muna about bacteria. So in this case, I have here the bacteria count. The problem would be the number n of bacteria in a refrigerated food is given by the function n of t. N is the number of bacteria equals 20t squared minus 80t plus 500 when the t, which is the temperature, is greater than or equal to 2 but less than or equal to 14. So it's in between, or kasama si 2 and 14, no? Between 2 or hanggang 14 lang. So n represents the number of bacteria in this case. Furthermore, when the food is removed from refrigeration, pag tinanggal natin sa refrigeration, the temperature of the food is given by the function t of t na maliit. Okay, so capital T, which is the temperature, yung t na maliit, yan naman po ang time. So it represents time, equals 4t plus 2 when t is greater than or equal to 0 but less than or equal to 3. Where t is the time in hours. Okay, there should be a representation for the little t we have here. Also, we are tasked to find the composition of the capital N, which is the number of bacteria, composed of T, which is the temperature. There are two different functions here. Of the T, or nung T na maliit na time. So, and after this, we will interpret its meaning in context. So, how can we do this particular problem? Let's start. So, first, we write the given from the problem. So we have n of t, so the number of bacteria within the given temperature. So this is the formula that we will be using, where t is greater than or equal to 2 but less than or equal to 14, and the temperature with a given time, so t na malaki at of t or time na maliit equals 4t plus 2 when the time is from 0 to 3. Okay? So, in terms of hours to. So, here is our solution. We write this composition of function. The composition of n and t of the given time equals the number of bacteria of t of the given time. So, in here, we all know that the t, or the temperature within the given time, is 4t plus 2. So that is the domain, or the that is the equation that we will place dito sa t of t. So, meron tayong 4t plus 2. So, it represents the input for the number of bacteria. Then after nun, we will be using the equation in the ends of t. So, meron tayong 20t. Ang ginawa dito, pinlog in na natin or pinlace na natin si t dito sa ating or sa temperature dito sa ating original equation na 20t squared minus 80t plus 500. Okay? So, we just plug in dun sa capital T. Kaya siya nagkaroon ng ganyan, 20 times 40 plus 2 quantity squared minus 80 times 40 plus 2 plus 500. Then, we simplify them. So, 40 squared. So, ito muna, no? The square of the first term, that is 16t squared. Then, multiply natin yung dalawang term na yan. 40 times 2, that is 8. Multiply natin sa 2, magiging 16t yan. Then, the square of the last term, 2 squared, that is 4. Then, we distribute negative 80 from 40. So, negative 80 times 40, that is negative 320t. Negative 80 times positive 2, that is negative 160. Then, we bring it down the 500. Di pa tayo natapos dyan, isi-simplify pa natin si 20, i-distribute natin sa tatlong terms na to. So, 20 times 16t squared, that is 320t squared. 20 times 16t, that is 320t. And 20 times 4, that should be 80. Then we bring it down this particular number. Then we combine like terms. So, since 320, wala naman siyang kamukha, i-remain natin yan. However, 320t and negative 320t should be cancelled out dahil they have the same value. Okay? So, 80 minus 160 for the coefficient plus 500, it should be 420. So, the final equation for this particular given or problem is 320t squared plus 420. So, it means this composite function represents the number of bacteria in the food as a function of the amount of time the food has been out of refrigeration. So, kapag nilabas mo yung food dun sa refrigerator, okay, ito daw yung ganito daw yung magiging dami ng bacteria within the given time. Okay? So, kapag 1 na siya, for example, pinlog in nyo si 1 in 1 hour. After 1 hour, pa-plug in nyo lang si 1 dito sa given equation natin. Then, makikita nyo na po kung gaano karami yung bacteria na nalalabas. So, ganun din, no? Within the given time. And this is the final answer. I believe this is the final answer in this particular problem. Kasi ang hinahanap lang naman kanina ay yung equation or yung function. So, there you go, the essence of the topic in real-life application, and there are so many ways to apply these wonderful topics in action. Okay? And for our summary of our lesson, so we have function notations. Pinangalanan natin yan, no, na si y ay dependent variable, si x ay independent variable. This form can be written as this form. Also, nireview din natin yung evaluation of function wherein you just remember the word placeholder. No? The input x is just a placeholder in the function f. Also, we operate the functions. We use sum, difference, product, and quotient of the function. So these are the representation that we will be using as a guideline sa ating operation and functions. However, quotient in this special case, it can't be equal to 0 because kung nag-equal sa 0 in denominator, it should be undefined. Okay? Lastly, we tackle about the composition of functions. So it composed 2 or more functions, as you can see here, where si x ay magiging domain ng g, alam naman natin, tapos itong g of x ay magiging domain ni f. So yun yung mga placeholder, sila na yung magiging placeholder para sa original function f. Okay? So here is the illustration then to visualize paano nag-function itong composition. And I believe this concludes our lesson for today. And we see you in our next quest.